Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Eternals issue 8. And I overall enjoyed this issue. It showed how the Eternals were kind of dealing with living in the Deviant City and what they're kind of doing, while Thanos is moving along and trying to inch his way through his plan of being Prime Eternal and trying to get his body fixed. So, we start off and we see that the Deviants are attempting to get used to the Eternals living there, as regular Deviants are like going about their business and then getting chased by like Deviants that have gone extra Deviant-y. And we see that Kingo and Ikaris are like taking down one of them, and it's like, alright, yeah, this kind of works. But Kingo's like, can maybe a thank you or whatnot? It's like, somebody then pops up, which we learned is Phastos, is like, yeah, but we're pretty much acting under a compulsion more than actually choosing it, and they still are, like, afraid of us. And he then berates Ikaris for still fighting like he has nothing left to lose, where, of course, if he dies and gets resurrected, a human's life force is in exchange to bring him back. And he's like, okay, I have to fight, like, my life depends on it. And, of course, Phastos needs help from Kingo to figure out how to re-access the information to pretty much get Thanos back, like, kind of under control, to kind of deal with that kind of whole problem. So Ikaris is like, alright, you deal with your penance, I'm gonna go deal with mine. They also brought up that they didn't know where the Forgotten One Gilgamesh is at this point, but he's probably having the same kind of guilt trip that the rest of them are, since he's pretty much been fighting the Eternals, and dying and killing the Eternals to protect humans, and that has been kind of counterintuitive to his goal. So we'll kind of have to see how they kind of shake out. So they're at in the wind at this point. Let's see. He's going off to figure that out. We also see that Dana and her lover, they're pretty much at his art exhibit as he's like about to like unveil it and everything, and it's kind of cool because we also get introduced to this Eternal called the Liar and Yidris. Yidris. Let's see. Coryphos and Yidris. Yeah, they're like an example of kind of star-crushed lovers from like kind of Greek kind of mythology and everything, and Liar's like really impressed with the piece and everything like that, and so is his lover, and they're like, yeah, that's pretty good. Well, we've been get me home, you old fool, as we learn that they've been together for 40 years, and then it's like 40 years, as she then sees that her lover is mutating and stuff like that, and he's like, yeah, to have 40 years would be pretty good at this point, and she's freaking out, and he's like, well, it started happening when Crow got here, and then he's like, Crow did it. We'd also seen a little bit before that Droog has been resurrected, and Thanos has pretty much wiped his mind of most of his schemes and the information that he stole from Phastos. And we see him pretty much thinking to himself, okay, he got me, and he, of course, slips into his usual kind of persona to, like, get through. He's like, swallows his shame. He's like, alright, let's see kind of what we have to do here. And Thanos is like, alright, yeah, you'll be my lick spittle, you bastard. It's like, well, we'll have to see. Yeah, you got one over on Droog, but I would not count him out in a game of trying to fuck somebody over. You always have to keep an eye on him. Let's see. So we then check in and we see that Ikaris has gone to find these like two gladiatorial people, the Reject and Carcass. Carcass, yeah. As we get a nice little info page on them. And the thing is, it's interesting because one really doesn't, he's like a poet and a philosopher, the kind of one that looks more monstrous and doesn't really want to fight. The Reject one, he is like really violent and everything, and he looks more human, and he's lamenting the fact that he thinks he's the ugly one in the whole Deviant Society. It's like, yeah, beauty standards are different across all things. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But Ikaris shows up and is like, oh, damn it, you scared away the crowd, so now we can't, like, do our thing. And I'm like, so, what's going on? But Carcass is like, hey, hold on, Icarus came here for help and everything. Let's see what's going on. How can we help you? And he wants to learn how to fight from them, like his life depends on it, and what he needs to do. And this, I do like this. This is an interesting kind of story point where Icarus has never had to fight, like, to protect himself. He's either been able to take those kind of hits, or it would kill, he'd die and be brought back. So he really has to augment his fighting style. And he's like, the reject's like, oh, I see, and then immediately, like, punches him. And he's like, you should have dodged that. He's like, dodging, teach me more of this. And it's an interesting kind of cool thing. It's like, yes, because to him there is no concept of dodging. And he has to actually learn about that. Well, as that's going on, we then go over and we see that the Eternal Domo in Olympia and Droog are trying to help and figure out what's going on with Thanos. He's like, well, he's kind of pretty much connected. Let's kind of see what we kind of do here. They pretty much zap his ass in a chair to kind of like do that. So we don't get really a technical kind of thing on it. More just like, yeah, he's blasted. And then Domo we get his thought process of like, okay, it didn't work. What do? Do I lie? Or do I tell him the truth and make sure that I kind of have my ability to continue living? Because he's like the opposite of Sprite, like mainly an old Eternal, where he's like 4 breaths away from like dying kind of thing. But he tells Thanos the truth of like, listen, it didn't work out. We're gonna have to try some other things. And he's like, good. That's very loyal of you. And then he's like, but there still is a price for failure, and then kills him, and then pushes him to the front of the queue. They have also put Xerxes in the exclusion zone temporarily because he was trying to go against the Unimind. But Droog is like, alright, there's probably going to be another vote, but we got to make sure that we get our shit on lock. And the thing is, Thanos is like, okay, I really need Phastos' help, so I need some kind of army that I can lead into battle that can work for me. And Droog's like, okay, you either need some people that are trustworthy, really good at their job, running down this kind of list of what he would kind of be looking for, and then he's like, okay, you want the Oceanic Watch. And then we get kind of a cool little primer here, where they're kind of like a doomsday weapon, where they have exceptionally skilled kind of people that do not trust their own kind of judgments, and Oceanus is kind of like the one over them, and it's like, listen, the Prime Eternal is the only one that has control over us because of what we are able to do. So then we see that like Cersei and Crow are having their own kind of like dinner kind of thing, playing their own kind of little game with each other before Thana busts in and like accuses Crow of pretty much doing the whole deviant kind of thing, accelerating it, or is doing that and like did that to her lover, and he's like, I had nothing to do with it. And it's really kind of cool to see it because he does feel for her. You even see it in the artwork because he's like, I would never do that. And it's a tragedy, and I would not wish it on anyone, let alone you. And he talks about how it really does suck for her because you're either going to have to leave him alone to become a monster, or your instincts will take over and you'll kill him. And she doesn't really like that. And Cersei, it was interesting to see Crow and Cersei kind of talk together before this kind of went down, because we see, one, Eternal and how she loves her deviant lover, and Crow was interested if Cersei would ever do that, and she's like, they're more short-lived than the humans. She's like, hey, I'm like 20,000 years old, and she's like, oh, you're still a baby. But Cersei kind of is like, okay, the mood's broken. What were like your motivations for like doing this? Is like, one can have many motivations. Is like, damn it. So we get towards the end of the issue, and we see that Cersei's in her room, but we see Jack. Let me see. Yeah. Who had pretty much been who told Icarus not to tell the whole story to the parents of the boy that died. That she pretty much used him to do that. And then is like, all right, cool. Well, it looks like we kind of swung this vote. And she's like, well, who's the Prime Eternal? Then she starts freaking out. It's like, guys, we got a major fucking problem here. And it's like, yeah, Thanos is the Prime Eternal. He pops down. It's like, yeah, we came to claim Phastos. and your lives. Haha. Well, look, he just comes down in his big ass chair and be like, boom, yep, I'm here to do my shit. And it's like, yeah, everybody's kind of like, oh, this is going to be nutty. I fucking look at Sprite's kind of face. It's like, oh my god, what has occurred? So, yeah, I overall enjoyed this because of the different kind of things that we got. Definitely a slower kind of one. Not really that much action-packed except in the beginning. And Icarus pretty much learning the concept of dodging. But I do kind of like that you get a balance of like action-packed-ish kind of moments, and we get slower moments where we actually get characters interacting and seeing what's going on, because we see how the Deviants view their lives, we see how the Eternals view their lives, and kind of trying to see how that would kind of work together. So I really kind of like this, and it'll be interesting to see now that Thanos is like in the Deviant City what's going to be going on, and if he's going to be able to like complete his plan before like another vote would be called. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.